Um, but we welcome all of you, and we're very excited. We love our Country Roads program and the people that are involved. Basically, quick overview, this is a higher education program at West Virginia University. This year we've, due to COVID, we've gone remotely, but it is intended to be an on-campus opportunity otherwise, where our students come in and they live in the dorms, particularly Lincoln Hall, and go to class, hang out, really navigate the campus just like any other student. And that includes, in terms of our goals for this program, we're really striving for independence, slowly transitioning them into existing classes. So you have core academic courses, social engagement, and then real world work experiences on campus and off campus are included in Country Roads. Here are three, during our core curriculum areas, here are 3 areas. So we focus on occupational preparation, independent living skills, so first in the dorm room, then in an apartment, on and off campus, and what all that brings. And then social interaction, being on campus, interacting with other students, interacting with faculty and staff, and the community at large are pieces with that. And in terms of our schedule, those 3 areas are coordinated Monday through Friday. We're going to show you a typical schedule here in a few minutes, but to dig a little deeper, here are just some examples. For social interaction, like I mentioned, meeting with other people, faculty and students, talking to them about career ideas and interests, starting to navigate their next steps and their goals and how what's the best route to get, again, just like any other college student, preparing for their next step in life. Independent living skills and topics, as I mentioned, living on campus, things to know, navigating events, planning for interacting in the classroom and what's all involved there, study skills, things of that sort. And then occupational preparation, deciding on the right career, building those skills, building a strong resume, interview skills, deciding what you want to do. We have 2 tracks. The first, and they're both 2 years. So the first track is more of a focus on employment and a prep for academics, right? So we have our core country road courses, workforce certifications, building on some certifications, on-campus and off-campus employment training. We haven't had a chance to do much of that this year remotely, but that will come in full force next year as soon as we can. And then, of course, the on-campus and off-campus living opportunities and learning. So for 2 years, if a student decided to stop here, they would have strengthened work documents, skills, certifications, to go into an area that they are most interested in with the best possible preparation for that. Or they can choose to continue. Alvin? Did someone have a question? Okay. Or they could choose to go another 2 years and really focus on a certification through the university, a major, or something like that, right? Let me go back. And so what's involved in that? Like I said, enrollment in a certificate or major, continued workforce certifications on a more advanced level, focus more on off-campus employment and even a little bit further away from campus because you get the practica and internships, and then a sustained focus on living, maybe without a roommate or with a roommate or in a different type of a setting. Okay, I refer a lot of these to our website, and that includes really more detailed admission criteria. There are 2 groups. So I just wanted to say there's required criteria, things that are required of any student who applies, and then there's a second section of really important considerations. For instance, a certain level of independence, being able to come to Morgantown and stay in a dorm. And everyone, every student's a little apprehensive leaving home a little bit, but based on what's currently going on, is that feasible? That's a consideration that we take into place. We don't want to add undue stress to someone by having this as an on-campus program. So we really consider what's going on. Again, if they're not eligible, or they don't have, if potential applicants don't have a great fit with Country Roads, the admissions committee also considers 2 other programs. Sometimes applicants will fit the general WVU admission, and so they're navigated to that pathway. Others might, based on certain criteria, fit what's already in existence, which is called the Pathway Program, and there's the link there too. And that's a first-year kind of transition into it. Different focus area, but someone might be able to, or have a better fit with the Pathway Program than Country Roads, which is a more involved 2-year program. So we don't just leave it with a Country Roads yes or no. We navigate to other opportunities if it's a better fit. So with that, we're very proud of our students, our first cohort of students. Here's their pictures at the top, and here we highlight one, Cole in particular. But again, they are on this call. Many of them, I see Maddie on this call specifically. So feel free to ask them. They can tell you what they like, what they don't like, what their day-to-day looks like as we get to that part. After admissions, and we're almost finished with this introductory, and ask questions as you have it. But once someone's admitted, then you have kind of this core curriculum, and this is just the lay of the land. A lot of what we're doing right now during COVID is 9 to 12, Monday through Friday. And then the afternoons are either free times, social events, employment connections with possible employers to ask them questions about how they got into their career and get an idea of interests, or one-on-one consultations. So that's what we look like now. And we would be similar to that even when we're on campus. Of course, the afternoons would be filled with a lot more interaction and events and things of that sort that they could do either as a group or on their own with other students. Of course, we follow the academic calendar of WVU. So there are holidays, there are days of concern or ISE days where students don't meet, and our students don't meet remotely. So we follow that to a T. Our start date for the semesters are the same, and our end dates are the same. We have many of our faculty staff on this call as well, and so I just want to describe them a little bit. They represent multiple disciplines. It's just wonderful to have a group who can provide their expertise, different perspectives, and jump right in there. And so this is the kind of group that we have on an advisory committee who guides the program, gives us overall advice, and connects us closely with the university, as well as the admissions committee, who will review the applications and identify potential students for the next year. And then the core curriculum team, who teach day-to-day courses and develop and implement that piece and work with the students directly. So peer mentors are also a piece of that, which you see in the next bullet of, or actually the third bullet, graduate level students. So they are peer mentors, they provide additional support and connections, and they have fun, they connect and really enjoy spending time together. We also have affiliates, and many of them are on the call today as well. So these individuals do a lot of things for us and with us. They represent areas of potential work interest, and they come in and they spend time and tell us all about their journey, and that's very helpful to us. They make connections for our students with other people throughout the state to learn more about their experiences. There's academic opportunities, so faculty might say, oh, join me in this class. I think you'd really like it based on what you just said. Your interests might be. Sit in on this class, or let me connect you with so-and-so. So it just starts this web of connections and opportunities. And we've been very fortunate this first year for the number of people involved and all their expertise. These are just some examples of the courses. So we talk about logistics, and these are the same types of things that, again, any student at WVU could utilize, right? So how to coordinate your calendar, how to coordinate all that's going on and balance your time and your resources. We talk about a budget and how, as a young adult transitioning into college, how that might change when you're away from your family, and to consider certain things. And then for an occupational, that next step, right? What do you think you might do? Now, we all know many college students, part of the college experience is you try it, you may like it, which is great, and you stick to it, or you try it and you figure out, no, I don't like that. And then you go to something else. Our students are doing the same thing. They're learning more. They might change what their interests are. They talk to more people. So our curriculum gets them thinking, gets all of us thinking about what we might need to know to prep. Here's some pictures from guest lecturers. So Mandy could tell us more about Miss Belinda. She's cooking nutritional treats. We talk about health and wellness. That's a huge part of the transition, by the way, right? When you're established and you're in the dorm room, you could eat, we all know about freshman 15 or things of that sort. So we talk about that, how to look for healthy foods, how to get exercise, how to do all of that to maintain your health while you're going to college. Roxanne Clay talking about West Virginia ABLE. So again, a financial piece and planning to this. And then the third is the county commission spoke to us. Advocacy and self-advocacy is another big piece. Being the lead of your career and next step is key. All right, so with that, and I apologize for all the formal slides, but just to, again, to keep us all on the same page, we're gonna open it up. And again, remember, we have our community partners, we have our faculty staff, we have our students involved. So feel free to use the chat or raise a question directly.
And remember, you may be muted, so you'll have to unmute.
Hi, Leslie. This is Carrie Utz. I was wondering if what kind of financial aid is available for this? How does funding work?
That's a very good question. So we have, you know, over time, the goal is to have increased scholarships, and that's been on our radar for a while. We do have information on the website that, of course, goes directly to FAFSA and some financial aid pieces. The IDEA support, IDEA support. And then, Mandy, I'm going to look to you because you knew of additional things that I think are on our website too, based on what you had found. We added that, right? But would you want to speak to additional supports?
Sure. Thanks, Leslie. And we are looking to expand supports. So, of course, the traditional FAFSA, but, you know, if we have individuals that are looking for financial support, we can work with each individual because, as you know, there's a lot of grants and scholarships out there that are really specific to different qualifications. So we would work with those individuals. Ideally, I would like to have Country Roads, we're working on it, approved through Workforce West Virginia as a program that leads towards employment, and that would come with financial aid depending on what region of the state you're in. I know up here in the Morgantown area, it's $10,000 over 2 years to put towards a certificate program that leads to employment. So we do look to have that approved as a great option. And that's why we're building in so many skill sets, like Leslie pointed to, the certifications, and Miss Belinda that was in the kitchen there. So that was a nutrition certificate that we did, an 8-week series, and we did CPR and first aid. Potentially we could do OSHA if that was in a career pathway. So we're looking at those. We did food handlers card. For those that want to go into childcare, they would need that. So we're looking to incorporate those all into a program and have it approved through Workforce West Virginia as an additional funding stream. That's not there yet, but any way that we can advocate for that. But again, individuals, we would look at grants and scholarships and see if they have any fit for those eligibilities.
Great, thank you.
I have something to contribute to the financial piece of it. However, I don't have specifics yet. I had enrolled Madison a few months before she was accepted into the program into the West Virginia Department of Rehabilitation Services for job coaching. And so we had mapped out a plan for her. However, once she was accepted into the program, now the plan has become the program, the Country Roads Program. And as long as she submits her grades, they say that they will contribute to tuition. I don't know what that's going to be because we haven't had to do that yet. It may be, you know, a small amount, but every little bit counts. So I don't know if this is an option for other students, if they would enroll in that service in their community.
That, I'm glad you mentioned that, and we have some of our DRS friends on here today. And Melina shared in the chat some additional funding opportunities, but one of those that it points to on the website is the Pathways website through the Division of Rehabilitation Services. So that's great to hear you guys have linked up with that. And as our tuition does come into fruition, we're going to need more supports like that. Thanks for sharing.
And just for those who haven't been part of the first cohort, you know, when we went remote, all the tuition was waived. I mean, that it's largely covering the room, board, and any meal plan, right? And so when all that left, tuition was a moot point. But next year, we're all hoping to be on campus. Any other questions?
Leslie, I did receive a question about the application process. Could you maybe share some information about that?
Sure. So on the website, we have a deadline, right? So there's a particular application and a link to that. You can go to that link. It's an online form that you complete, and there are multiple sections to that. All of that, so you might want to give yourself some time to complete that. There are pieces that are, you know, ask about medical needs, you know, social, but give us a good idea about the independence, right, of the applicant. So there, just keep that in mind. Once you complete that, you can submit that, and it tells you exactly how to submit it on the website. Those, after the due date, are then batched, and the admissions committee gets those. And the criteria that I mentioned, the required criteria, all have to be met. And there are some that we get that don't fit that required criteria. And you get a letter, you'll get a letter either way. And then those that meet that required criteria, then we go and look for the conditional items. You know, what are the general circumstances? What types of support would be needed? Are we able to provide those levels of support on campus? Those are the kind of the decisions. And around that time, the admission committee meets frequently to talk about each applicant. We take notes, and those are given back feedback to the families about next steps. And that happens usually, that would happen over the summer, giving you time to prepare for a fall, I believe it's August 19th start date.
I added another financial resource, and Jen Tenney in-house is our expert on work incentives for Social Security beneficiaries. So if a student is identified as a Social Security beneficiary, that would open up some additional opportunities for money savings programs for college.
I'm just trying to go while people are thinking about their questions. I'm trying to think of other questions that we received. And same thing, Melina, I know you get a lot of the questions and reach out to us. So let us know if there are common ones. But right now we are only on the Morgantown campus, right? As over time and as we grow, hopefully we can take that to Tech, Potomac State, you know, others. But students would need to travel to Morgantown and stay in Morgantown. And let us know, you know, again, Lincoln Hall is the honors dorm. It's over on Evansdale campus, not downtown campus, but the one closer to the Coliseum, if you're familiar with the area and the rec center and things of that sort.
One question that I get quite a lot is regarding the requirements. It's not really a question, it's more of a statement of the definitions of an intellectual disability and or developmental disability. So for those that are interested in exploring it as an option, we do link to those definitions because I think a lot of people maybe think that a certain diagnosis would cause them to be eligible and are real kind of unclear on what those mean. So that's one question that I get quite a bit.
I want to see, so I'm looking, I pulled up our website. One thing, a couple things that we provided more specific information about. And Melina, you talking about the definitions. This year we emphasized developmental disability, the and or piece to it. We also emphasized that a diploma, a modified diploma or a GED is fine to apply for that piece. To give someone an example of the other path, the pathway program, that would be, you know, we have particular IQ set as at less than 75 and or the developmental disability. Let's say the individual who applies has an IQ that's above 75 and the same kind of level of independence and qualifications and things of that sort. That would be an example of a student who could apply for the pathway program or the general, depending on the circumstances and the level of independence, or the general admissions process at WVU. So we would connect them to those groups. And by the way, our students will be, if they choose the third and fourth year, that second track, they are enrolled in WVU classes for certificates or majors, the established classes. So they would still have the core country roads. We'd check in as a group, and then they'd go to their classes based on their major.
Leslie, another question I get a lot is, can out-of-state residents apply?
Yes, we do not have, we don't state that specifically. We do obviously place emphasis on West Virginia residents as a West Virginia program, but we have not taken any student outside of West Virginia off the list automatically. Faculty, staff, or students, any common questions or things that you would think we should highlight?
Maddie looks like she wants to share. What do you want to tell us, Maddie?
This program is awesome. Thank you for letting me join.
We love you, Maddie.
I love you guys.
We're so proud of you.
Thank you.
We are so glad that you're in this program. We love having you in it. So thank you.
And you learn a lot, students. I remember not having a lot of education, and I went to this, and my spelling and my writing is much better.
Maddie's been a fantastic model student for our
Thank
first
you.
cohort. She's never afraid to participate, learn something that she's never even heard about before. So she's a really good example of what it is to be a Country Road student.
Today we did a worthless puzzles, but I don't like them. I did it, and I asked my teammates to help. You just don't worry about asking for help, students. We're there to help you.
That's a good advice. And Dr. Cottrell mentioned some of our subjects, and I can speak to, that was Jen, Tenny, and myself that we're talking about. We started our preparing for employment section today. So I can tell you guys a little bit about occupational skills and see if you have any questions for Jen and myself. But Maddie made a good point there. One of our first topics in occupational skills is team building, and we do that every Monday. And sometimes it looks like getting out of a virtual escape room, and sometimes it looks like practicing our body language and communicating with others. And we've adapted that for our, of course, Zoom and virtual classroom. But team building is really important. So we do that every Monday through all semesters. And Leslie mentioned health and wellness. We do that every Friday through all semesters. And some of the other teachers for different topics, they've got kind of a similar routine, but it allows us to continue those conversations as we talk about independent living, occupational skills, social interactions. So you might hear a common theme throughout the classrooms with the different teachers in any given week. So team building, health and wellness, preparing for employment, maintaining employment, financial literacy, and self-advocacy. I think, Jen, those are our main topics under occupational skills, and we have a lot of fun. Do you have anything to add to that, Jen?
Oh, it is a lot of fun, and the students bring such a richness to the classroom. Each one, we have 5 students currently enrolled, and they, we talk about different jobs that they're interested in, and we found out today that, people's opinions change as things learn. It's just like a regular classroom, regular college classroom, where you find out things you like and things you don't like. And our goal, Mandy and mine's goal, is to get them as close to employment as possible, so that when they're ready to leave the program, they're ready to be employed.
And that's a really good segue. That's a nice setup. I think in these discussions that we have from 9 to 12 in our core classes, they serve as a foundation. And again, our goal is for preparatory into a position that they'd want, and then a lot of them are also getting ready to go into a classroom, an existing classroom. So we're transitioning into that setting. And some things, I tell you, this cohort is spoiling us because we don't get this kind of response from all students in the university. They're not all as involved. And so we just love working with them. But if there's something that comes up, and I see Brian in the center of my screen, if there's something that comes up that they say, before we transition to the classroom, or we say before you transition to the classroom, let's really focus on, let's really get this down pat, because it either might be something that you don't want to do in the larger classroom with a faculty member you're not familiar with, like us daily. Then that afternoon time, Brian does a lot of that afternoon time. Brian's worked, well, Brian, I won't tell your story, but then a lot of our team, and I see Dr. Burt and many others who come in with their, again, physical therapy, occupational therapy, behavioral modification. When needed, we can dig deeper. Brian, do you want to, not to put you on the spot, but I guess I am. Do you want to say anything to the additional pieces, you or Dr. Burt, or?
I can speak a little bit to that. So my name's Brian. I'm a behavior analyst, and again, in looking at how we can best position our guys and gals to succeed, what we look at is when we're building up these professional skills, are there areas where we might need to work on a couple of skills that'll help us be more effective? So for instance, if something that, again, being in a college program, there are things that might have been not as significant in the high school level just based on services provided, say, by an IEP team. So as a behavior analyst who's worked in many different settings, I can tell you there's a number of things that we might not focus on too much in the public schools because they don't rise to the level of need. But when we get to the college level, there might be things that are much more needed. So are we able to sit in the class and attend to what's going on? Are we able to take in the relevant information? Are these things that maybe in the past might have been minor are now something that might might cause us to stumble a little bit in the college setting? And those are things that we can work on here more intensively, which I think is another benefit of our program, is that we do have that behavioral piece, and we do have a similar model to the IEP teams that students might be familiar with from high school. And I think that also provides a nice transition to college, that we can kind of also work together as a team and troubleshoot and come up with the best ways to put our guys and gals in positions for success.
Thank you, Brian.
So I can add to that a little bit, because I was going to say that right before Dr. Cottrell started saying, oh, and this led a great lead in, is I think Country Roads is a really great program because it's individualized, even though you're in a cohort of students. We have team meetings every week, and we think about each student and how we can enhance their learning and their skills and enhance their ability to transition to the next steps. So just like Brian does his behavior analysis, I'm an occupational therapist, a little bit different from the occupation that Jen and Mandy talked about, but so we think about participation in everyday life activities and how participation is going to look on campus. So we really think about what strategies we can work with the students on, what's important to them. And that's what a lot of my lessons cover, you know, how to just participate in life and be successful and be who you are, as well as have to learn the new things that you have to succeed in college. So a really great interdisciplinary team with that, and it's individualized. So hopefully that helps a little bit too.
Yeah, thanks for describing that. Now, Dr. Burt has several students who are part of our team, and I'm looking at Courtney as well, because she and Jennifer Forrester, we have a lot of Jennifers out here in our group. We love them. They lead our peer mentor piece. So do you, and I see some peer mentors on with us. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so every Friday we hold group mentoring, to where we have another WVU student come in and meet with the students, just kind of talk. A lot of times they'll talk about things that we've talked about in classes earlier in the week, just giving their perspective on it, helping maybe troubleshoot some things. It's just a way that they can answer or ask any questions and get it from that perspective. We're pretty hands-off during that time. It's really focusing on the students together, just talking as peers. And then we also are doing one-on-one mentoring, where we're pairing those students up with the Country Roads students, to where they can have a one-on-one experience with them. And that's a newer thing for this semester. And we're really trying to build on that capacity to ensure that the students have someone other than the instructors and their families that they can go to and ask these questions. Particularly about individuals who are going through the exact same experiences that they are at the time.
And one of those areas would be relationships. And Courtney, you're part of that curriculum piece, and of course, navigating relationships in college. Where do we start, right? So do you want to spend a little bit of time talking about that, Courtney?
Yeah, I've been focusing the last 2 semesters on a lot of social emotional based things. So teaching different relaxation things. So when you get overwhelmed, what are things that you can do in the classroom, in the community, to where you're not going to pull a lot of focus onto yourself, but it actually helps you kind of work through what you're going through, because we all go through those anxious moments, particularly when we're in class and we get overwhelmed. So we've been working on a lot of those, and we just recently started a new curriculum I'm really excited about. It's called Elevate Us, and it is a healthy sexuality curriculum for adults and young adolescents with intellectual developmental disabilities. So really starting to look at navigating all types of relationships. I know today we talked about decision making and how that kind of all ties in together. And then also building into how do you move from a friendship into a relationship? What if a relationship goes wrong? How do you navigate boundaries in the classroom if you're dating someone in the classroom, and all of those things. So that's kind of the thing that we're kind of working on, that we find that a lot of individuals don't really get. I think they don't get it enough in their primary education.
And I'm gonna, so this cohort of students, including Maddie, I'm gonna pick on Maddie for a little bit. They're very social. We love them. They've clicked as a group. We've clicked with them. It's just been gone really well. And so they ask really good questions, relationship. And the thing I'm gonna pick on Maddie, and Maddie, you can elaborate if you want to on it, is Maddie asked a really good question the other day, which is, we get on campus, do we have to spend time with one another all the time?
Thanks, Leslie.
Right?
Thanks, Leslie.
And I thought that was a great question, Maddie, but you guys are thinking about these relationship pieces, even as a remote, like in a vacuum, we're meeting, just us. And I thought that was a very valid question. Do you want to speak to anything like that about what, looking forward to when we're on campus? You guys have a lot of questions of when we come on campus, but things about any of that, Maddie? I'll put you on the spot. And it's
No, I'm psyched to be on campus till I can get some freedom and learn to see what and yes, I love my mom. I want to be with her, but I need to see who I am without my mom.
You got a good role model there, for sure.
I will say Maddie came to me with the question about like, well, what if I don't want to spend all my time with my roommate? And I said, Maddie, I said, you're going to, be in an adult atmosphere. You'll be able to make these decisions for yourself, if you don't want to spend all your time with your roommate. I said, but I think that, I apologize. I said, I think that would be a fantastic question to bring up to class. So that way, maybe someone else who's thinking that, you can kind of like put it out there and you can all explore together and feel a little bit more comfortable about not feeling pressured to spend all your time with one person. Or
Absolutely. And I don't think we mentioned that, in terms of the dorm assignments, what happens is they, all of our students, and now that we would have 2 years, 2 cohorts, so girls, there are 2, and then it's joined by a bathroom and then 2 roommates. So you kind of have that the community sharing of a bathroom between 4 girls or 4 boys, those kinds of things, but they're all in the same dorm, right? The honors dorm is co-ed, but they're sectioned off by same gender. And so they are assigned, they would have their Country Roads fellow students as roommates. And so they might get sick of seeing one another between class and rooming, and they, there's other things. So definitely, it was a good question to ask. How do you navigate that without hurting someone's feelings?
yeah, absolutely. And I encourage Maddie to always know her limits and just set herself up with healthy boundaries, because we all have our limits. So I said, well, what's your limit? Do you want to spend all day and all night with someone? Well, if not, then know how to set yourself, healthy boundaries, advocate for what you need. You're not going to be able to kick them out of the room, but perhaps you could plan for something different. So, and I just wanted to mention, my phone had went off. I apologize. I do have a client that I have to meet at 2, so I'll be leaving in about 5 minutes. So if anybody has any questions for a parent, I'm more than willing in the next 5 minutes to share.
Thank you. Feel free to ask. We'll leave it open for that.
Well, otherwise, I would like to also take the opportunity to say that it's so lovely seeing a face with each one of the names that I hear about every single night. I have learned so much along with Madison. Mr. Bryan, you will be proud to know that Madison corrected her father and the difference between a role model and a mentor last night while doing homework.
I forgot to tell you.
And she was like, no, you're wrong. And
I forgot to take the email and told him.
and then my husband was like, no. And I looked at him and I said, Madison attended class and she's the expert of what she learned in class. And he was like, touche. So, but we appreciate, and we have already grew to love each and every one of you and what you're bringing to our family, what you're bringing for Madison. Her confidence has went through the roof. You know, she speaks about reading and writing better. I don't know that it's better because I haven't seen any of that in the curriculum yet, but because of the support and the encouragement, the normalization and validation that is given each and every day from faculty and peers. Oh, Madison's pulling up something and I can't see now. Have to see to talk. But anyhow, I think that's given her the confidence to read more. So like she read at the dinner table one night and her brother was like, Madison? You know, she would have never have read anything at the dinner table in front of 7 people, you know. So I don't think the ability wasn't there, the confidence wasn't there. And this is, you know, directly relates to what you guys are doing. And I have felt very alone and defeated as a parent raising a young adult with differences. Right, I don't like them to be called disabled. You know, they're her abilities. So I always say, you know, she has different abilities. And so now I have a village, and I love it. And so I commend each and every one of you, and hold a special place in my heart. I can't wait to get this kid on campus because she's gonna blossom.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you for all that, and we appreciate you giving her the strong foundation, you know, and the push to come. We've loved
Absolutely.
So I'm not hearing many questions. You guys are quiet for us, but while you guys think, Steve and we have other faculty who are from our community directly. Do you all want to say anything about the program that we haven't said that you feel parents would want to hear, students would want to hear?
You know, with for myself, and I've had a wonderful opportunity to teach a few classes, but we've also had an opportunity for the students to be engaged with different things. One student has helped with designing training for law enforcement on how to engage with disabilities. We've had the students reach out to different members of the community. They've sent cards, both thank you and condolence. So they've really had an opportunity with this program to be a part of WVU, but to also represent WVU. And I keep hearing from the cohort that they realize that they are true mountaineers and they cannot wait to get on campus. Every time I talk to them, that's why I hear they're very eager. But it's just a wonderful thing for them, for me, to hear them say that they realize that they're representing our university.
Thank you, Steve. So Steve, we can't pull him in often enough. I don't know what you did regularly for a day job, but we're eventually going to pull you away from that entirely and have you on here 24/7. I mean, Steve's been a huge advocate. He's one of the people that helped develop the program from the beginning and has made it happen. So. Oh, and I think someone's asked about brochure pamphlet, Sherry, and Melina's going to pull that up. We do have one. We have had a few calls from guidance counselors and transition specialists within high schools asking about the program. And so absolutely, if you have particular questions about how, I know the most common one I get is, what qualifications are we looking for so that they can prepare them in their senior year and be ready for this. If at any point you want those criteria, you want to discuss those criteria a little bit more about particularly what we're looking for or had any questions, let us know. We're happy to do that.
Hi, my name's Juliet. I'm with Children's Home Society. I was curious if anyone in the Country Roads program now has been with Modify, if they're a former foster youth, or if no one in this cohort, that might be something that we at Children's Home Society can be in contact with you about.
So that's a really good question, Juliet, and I think that could be a role. That would be a very valuable role. I don't believe we do have an existing student that fits that. I'm trying to think if we had any applicants in the first round that might have fit that, and that could have been the case. But they are definitely anyone who has aged out of the foster youth program that fits that criteria is eligible. Absolutely. And we're familiar with Modify, and I think that's a great combo.
Okay. And so the requirements, I think I wrote it down, is just kind of like the typical standard application process for WVU itself. And then is it IQ less than 75 and or a diagnosed developmental disability?
It is. So there, let's see. We'll put that link. Melanie, do you care to put that link in the chat, and you can click it, because the application is on that page. If you literally click that application, it'll pull up. It is different, slightly modified from the WVU application, but the process, it goes through an admission committee and all of that is the same.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking the question. Thanks, Melina. So we're getting close to the 2 o'clock hour. Any other comments or questions people have? All right. Well, if there are none, this isn't the only time to ask questions. We are available. The website does have an opportunity to ask questions, and Melina gets a lot of those, builds a lot of those for us and sends it to us. So if you think of something after today's open house, feel free to utilize that, and we're happy to have a follow-up discussion with you. Okay, but we really appreciate everyone joining us and having the opportunity to tell the story about our first year and experiences. And we hope that everyone has a wonderful afternoon.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Miss Jennifer. Bye, Steve. Bye, Miss Amy.
Maddie, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Sorry for crying.
Oh no, you got me crying. I'm telling you what. It's good. It's a good, happy tear.
I know. Yeah. Bye, Miss Leslie.
Bye. Have a good afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow.